this person, what are you doing to take care of yourself? What's your self-care stuff?
So Lovey, last night I'm going to bed and I'm like, Abby, Lovey's going to ask me what I do for self-care. So can you tell me? She turned off the TV and she's like, okay, let's think about it. Okay. So I'll just answer off the cuff, Lovey, like I haven't even considered this before. Well, what Abby brought up to me was one, that I'm the most boundaried person that she knows. So I have about probably 5 or 6 people that I love very much that I let super, super, super close to me. And then I love the rest of humanity from a distance. Like, I love humanity, but actual human beings are really hard for me. So, so big ass boundaries. My great loves, I always say, are Abby, my kids, and boundaries. And then also, I think from sobriety, I learned that big thinking doesn't work for me. So in other words, like asking myself, how do I have a good life, will never work. But asking myself, how do I have a good day, works. Mm-hmm. So because, that Annie Dillard, like how we spend our days is how we spend our lives. So one thing that Abby and I talked about last night that I do is that a long time ago I figured out, okay, there are only about 5 things that are super important to me. So that would be my kids and Abby and my work, my output, my creative output, and then my input. So like what I'm learning, and my body, like keeping physical things strong, and rest. Rest is super important to me. So all I do is I figure out what I value, and then I divide my day up into those things. And it becomes very simple. And like what I learn is that if I'm leaving one out, I feel cranky and upset. And it's always that. Like I'll start to feel a little empty. And it's because I haven't like really connected with the kids that day. Or I'll start to feel anxious, and I realize it's because I didn't make anything that day. Like even if it's just a paragraph, even if it's, I don't know, what a cool Facebook post, like I have to make something. My friend Liz Gilbert says, I have to be constructing something or I'll start to get destructive. That's completely the story of my life. If I start to feel a little empty, maybe I didn't like creatively put anything in my brain. Like I have to be reading something, listening to your podcast, whatever. Each day it has to be something new going into my mind. So I think just like figuring out what you value, dividing your day up into those things, and then the idea of like whatever you ignore will go away. Like if you don't make time for one of the time doesn't match your values, that thing will disappear. Zadie Smith said, how we spend our time is how we spend our love.
Ooh, that's good.
I love that so much. I mean, that's what we've got. We've got time. So think of the 6 things that matter to us and divide your day up that way. And then the last thing is I feel like everything that I know about self-care came from sobriety. And I think that one thing Abby brought up with me last night is that I try to live with a lot of integrity. And to me, that doesn't mean like doing the right thing at all. It just means like integrated. So what I do on the outside or say on the outside matches what's going on the inside. Because I lived as an alcoholic for so long, and that's a double life completely, because you're always pretending you're one thing, but you're suffering on the inside. And so if my feelings are hurt or I'm angry or I'm confused about something someone said, I say it all the time.
Yep.
All the time. And it's kind of annoying. Like it's like really you can't just, it causes more small, annoying confrontations and much less, I have much fewer deep, hurtful, long-seated confrontations. Right? Because it's like constantly, like, what did you mean by that? Hold on, I don't understand that. That pissed me off. Like, and I do it all the time, like with Abby and my sister, and it's an interesting way of life because everything gets taken care of right away.
Yep.
And I was listening to this because most of the time it's a failure to communicate, right? It's not.
Yeah.
But when you eat it and swallow it, all these little bitterness and resentments build up, and over time it's like cancer for relationships. So I was reading this article recently that said that you would think that one of the indicators of good marriages is not fighting, but actually one of the indicators of good marriages, the psychologist said, is people who are constantly saying, wait, what? Like
Right.
a million little things clears the air.
Facts. Yes. You see, just dropping all the gems. And you don't need to necessarily go to the spa when you have your boundaries together so people aren't constantly coming at your head.
Oh, totally. Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah. Just create it. We call it, I told you about this. Like, Abby and I, we call it our island. Like, we create our island, and we surround it by a moat with alligators in it. and nobody is allowed on the island who doesn't celebrate our relationship and our family with anything but absolute acceptance and love. And the good news is, like, we don't ever feel like we have to convince anybody to do that. Either do it and you can come, or go on your way, right?
That's it.
Like, we're not arguing with anybody. We're not begging for acceptance. We're not begging for belonging. We let our drawbridge down when people already have that. And when they don't, we just assume that they weren't meant for us, right? But we don't spend our life begging anybody to love us.
Ooh, and that is a bomb way to wrap it. Glennon, you are the bomb. Thank you so much for joining Rant and